Right guys, welcome back to the channel. In this one I've got a long-term review for you on a TuboLito inner tubes. You may have seen them. I did do a review on them when I first purchased the tubes, so I thought now 7 months down the line and I've got a lot of use out of them, then I can do a proper long-term review on them and my thoughts on the actual tubes. So if you haven't seen them before, then they're these orange tubes like this, like a thermoplastic tube, as you can see, not like your normal butyl inner tube at all. No resemblance to a normal butyl tube or a latex tube even. So I'll go ahead and just give you my thoughts on what I think of them on a long-term review. So I'll get into it for you. Right, so here we have the tube itself. Obviously this is they go 18 to 28 millimeter. This is a 42 mil valve stem. I think they do a 60 as well, as you can see there. And obviously this is a road tube that we're talking about here. This isn't a mountain bike, this is road. 700C tube. Obviously you can see they've got a plastic, just a little plastic O-ring around the bottom there that obviously goes on the inside. But being a plastic stem for the tube, as you can see there's no way of fixing it solidly to the rim like a lot of the tubes you see obviously have a metal valve stem, so therefore they've got the little nut that screws down to hold it in position on the rim. Obviously these don't, because this is a plastic stem, as you can see. So being as that's a plastic stem, obviously this here is metal, so it's going into plastic. So what I'll do is I'll just remove that and show you. Right, so I'll just go ahead and undo the valve core out of the valve stem, and you can see up in there this plastic, all that is a plastic stem. So therefore these are easy to strip the threads out of, because this is metal obviously and this is just plastic. So if you over tighten it, it'll just keep spinning and spinning and spinning, it won't tighten up, because obviously those are just plastic threads down in there, so it's easy to strip them threads being as they're not metal. So that's one of the things that could be an issue. If you over tighten it, then you'll strip the threads out of there. And obviously, like I said, these are road tubes, but obviously if mountain bikes are the same, the setup's the same. So obviously, being as they're not metal, they're prone to damage because they're just plastic. So maybe a stick going through into your spokes or something like that, or rocks or things, you could damage those. These could get damaged easily. So that's another thing on a mountain bike, say. But obviously these tubes are lighter than your stock butyl tubes, even the lightest butyl tubes. These are sort of about 38 grams supposedly for a tube. I did actually weigh them when they was new. I forget what they come out at. I think it was probably 40, just over 40 maybe, or something like that, 40. Like I say, so they're supposedly, they are lighter, but they also say they're not prone to punctures. As you can see, you have to use the proper puncture patches that you buy for them. You can't just use your normal butyl patches, you have to get these special patches to adhere to the plastic of the tubes. Now, one thing I do like is these patches, because you can just, as you can see there, the dirt, the grime that accumulates on them, say, just from normal use from the inside of the tyre, it sticks on. But when you get these patches, they come with like an alcohol wipe. So all you do is get the alcohol wipe off where the hole is, clean it up, let that evaporate, and then peel the backing off one of the patches and stick it on, and obviously hold it on there properly and clamp, till it goes off. so they're very easy to apply. There's no tube of glue, there's no sanding involved or anything like that. You just wipe it off clean, well, let it evaporate, stick it on, and they do stick really well. As you can see, I've got one there, another one there, another one there. So that brings me on to the next thing. Are they any more puncture proof than a normal tube? A butyl tube, say, or a latex tube? And the answer to that is no, they're not. You get as many punctures as you see. This is just off of a front wheel, so obviously I've still got the rear on the bike, and that's got as many patches on it as well. So they're not, if you do the miles, you're bound to get punctures, as simple as that. If you're not doing very many miles, you won't get very many punctures probably. But if you're doing a lot of miles, then you're bound to pick up sooner or later a punctures. It's inevitable with any tube. So they definitely, there's no way that they're any more puncture resistant than any other tube I've ever used. Without a doubt, they're definitely not. And that brings on to the next thing. Do these roll any better than any other tube, being as they're this material? Like I say, the plastic, you see it's welded there, the join. So do they roll any better? And in my experience, the answer to that is no. They don't roll any better than a real high-end quality butyl tube. I'm not talking about a cheap butyl tube, I'm talking about high-end butyl tubes. So no, they don't roll any better in my opinion. And I'll say I've tested them now 7 months on these tubes, and they don't roll any better. And the thing is, with these, also, it's the price. So the price of these tubes, they're about sort of between 20 and 25 pounds a tube. So they are expensive tubes. There's no denying that they're expensive. So you can buy like high-end butyl tubes or latex tubes for a lot cheaper. You could buy a couple of high-end butyl tubes for the price of one of those tubes. So from that perspective, then, you know, I wouldn't purchase them again, because of the price on them. If they was about, say, £10 a tube roughly, then I would purchase them again. But being as they're like £20–25 each, then there's no actual gain, you know, there's no substantial gain for the difference in the price, apart from the weight. Obviously they're like 40 grams, say, a tube, so they're lighter only slightly, because you can buy high-end butyl tubes that are, say, 50 odd grams a tube, so you're only talking 30 grams a pair lighter. If you're comparing them to really heavy butyl tubes, road tubes, then they're a lot lighter, because they'll be over 100 grams a tube, and they're, like I said, 40 grams a tube, say. So there'd be a lot of saving there. But I'm talking about high-end butyl tubes here, then they're not worth the additional price. If they was between, say, a £10 and £15 a tube, then you'd probably think about using them. Now, like I said, they do, when you get them and they're new, they're rolled up very small. So for that matter, they're one of these is quite handy for putting in, say, your saddlebag, because they take up a lot less room than some of the butyl tubes, say, or a latex tube. They're a lot smaller. Obviously, once it's been unpacked, it's a different matter, because you obviously won't be able to roll it back up. Well, you could do, but it would take some rolling up small again. So, and they do a Tubo S tube, which is even more expensive, and that, I think that's for discs only, disc wheels only, and that's just for your, say, your saddlebags. It's a lot smaller, and it's even lighter still than one of those is even. So that's just for your saddlebag to get you home on, sort of thing. But yeah, so I say some people do have problems with them. I say I've I've fitted those tubes and I've never had a problem with them, apart from punctures, where you get that on any tube you buy. It doesn't matter what you buy. But other than that, I've never had a problem with the valves. I've never had, I've not had a problem with anything like that at all. Obviously, you got to be careful when you're fitting them, because obviously if you pinch a tube, then you're going to have a flat in it. Same for any tube. If you pinch it when you're fitting it, then it just goes for any tube. So it's not even, that doesn't matter. But say other than that, I've never had a problem with them. Some people do say, they've had quality issues with them or anything like that, but I've never had a quality, a problem with them. I'll say that's not to say that you do get problems with them, just I haven't personally had a problem with them. So that's all I can say. I'm going on the tubes that I bought and my personal experience on the review, not what someone else is saying. This is just a review, obviously, from my personal experience. I haven't had a problem with them or anything like that, like I say. So I hope you found the review helpful. If you're thinking of purchasing a pair, I'll say give them a try yourself, see what you think. But till the next video, remember to subscribe to the channel for more cycle related content, and till the next one, ride safe and I'll see you then.